So I've talked about DNS record and I showed how you can change this. But I'm just going to read this ticket just to say I bought a domain called alamtex.com, but I'm trying to set up my domain with IP address and create a website. Trying to create a domain environment to practice IT issues. Please help me out. I watch your every single video. Thanks, Alam. I appreciate that, buddy. Okay, so I'll talk about this briefly. So alamtech.com. So it looks like he's trying to set up this website called alamtech.com. Let's check it out. And I'm taking a chance here because I don't know what this website is about, but I'm going there just to see what's going on, to see if anything is set up. I have an idea what he's talking about. It's not necessarily a help desk thing unless your help desk is literally doing a website administration, which I can certainly talk about as well. And again, don't worry guys, anything that comes up. So his website, okay, it looks like he abandoned this. Maybe? Yeah, it looks like, no, this is just a parking page. So he hasn't forwarded his IP address to this, and that's the issue here that he talked about. You see how it just comes up? He looks like he bought it at GoDaddy, or GoDaddy is his website host. Okay. So either way, if you're still making this and you want to point your IP address to the domain, it's very simple actually. You have to log into, for example, if your domain provider is GoDaddy.com or anything like that, you log into GoDaddy, and what you do, and I'm just going to briefly create this so you can get an idea of people who want to create websites. This is how addresses are. This is how addresses and domain, IP addresses and domains are connected together. So once you create a website, your website is going to have a static IP address. It's going to have a static IP address, and you should give it a static IP address. You know, you create a website, and number one, you need that static IP address, meaning that address never changes. And number two, if you want your website to work as, you know, in this case, alamtex.com, you need to point your IP address to alamtex.com. All right, or whatever it is that your domain name is. You know, it could be Bobby's Tech Support or Lucy's, I don't know, drycleaning.com. I don't know. So it could be anything. And for that to happen, step 3, go to domain provider. In this case is GoDaddy. All right, GoDaddy.com, where you can buy your own domain name, and create a text. Let me do this here. Create a text. Hey, just to add, while editing, I realized that what I was actually talking about is what they call an A record, that you have to go to your domain provider and point your website to that IP address. Just a clarification, it's not a text record, which is TXT, it's an A record that you have to enter in order to provide correct DNS settings for your website. Entry that I'm going to say with at a sign that points, well, at sign, and we're going to say insert IP address, static IP address. Okay, so I'm not a web developer. I have my own website, and you know, these are some basic things that anybody should really know. But it's, you know, if you're help desk, you don't necessarily have to know what this is, but this is how you would point your server that's always going to be at a certain IP address. This is how you tell people, well, you don't have to remember my IP address. You just type in the domain name, in this case Alamtech, and the way that works is because I go to my domain provider and then I create this entry, text entry, that means at with the @ and then insert static IP address, meaning pointing alarm tech to the IP address, to whatever that is. And that's pretty much, I'm gonna leave it at that. But it is a DNS entry, right? So you go to domain provider under DNS and create this text entry. So that's exactly what I'm going to copy paste into this ticket. So hopefully that helps you, Alam. And I'm going to close it because I don't, you know, the whatchamacallit, help desk is not necessarily about this, so this is just for your information.